Hello everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Omens. I'm your host Ryan, and today we are going to be talking about the Magician. This card is from my old Tarot of the Old Path deck. Thought it very interesting and probably kind of appropriate to start with this card because it's the basically, I guess, oldest depiction of a magician that I have amongst all my decks. So yeah, welcome. I'm Ryan. He, him, his pronouns. And don't think I have any housekeeping, so let's dive into it. So something slightly different I'm gonna do this time is usually I'll start with the traditional meaning and then delve into the different parts of it. I think maybe the very first one I did the traditional meaning last. I'm gonna do that again where I do all the different parts together first and then all the different parts first and then throw them together into the traditional meaning, or the, well, I guess the common meanings, the best common ways of reading the card. I call it traditional meaning at the very last. So anyway, and I'm sorry if my camera is funky today. It took me forever to set up the lighting for it, and it's still being a little odd. Bobby and Garth are joining us again today, as is my bookshelf / altar space. I think I like this setup a lot better than anywhere else I've been at. Okay, so anyway, let's dive into it. So, you know what? First off, let's talk about this card just a little bit. Just to kind of give you kind of an interesting overview. So for the Tarot of the Old Path, we have basically kind of a druidic figure here. Got the Stonehenge in the background, the lightning kind of representing power, illumination, kind of a sudden aha, light bulb turning on moment. The moon to represent the cyclical nature of nature, basically. We have a unicorn back here. I'm not sure. Yeah, you can see his horn. Unicorn back here, kind of magic, innocence, purity, whatever the kind of traditional what unicorns represent. We got the fire, the chalice, kind of a stone altar here with the pentacles. And then, of course, he's holding the sword here, so we have the regular elements. And this fire is actually on a... I'll blur down again. On a bundle of arrows, actually. So at first it looks like a shaft of wheat, you know how it usually does, but if you look closer into the flames, you can actually see it is arrows, so that targeted insight type deal, and then of course it's bringing passion and flame. He's got, the magician himself has the horns of the horned god, Lord Keranos, most commonly is the representation of the horned god, or even just the Wiccan horned god. And then of course we've got a wolf that's either, at first you think it's behind the flames, but it seems like it's actually leaping out of the flames too. So you can go either way on that. So from that power and inspiration comes that wild rage type deal. Stonehenge in the background, of course, ritual area, and then of course he's actually the magician himself is reading the runes here. And yeah, and then of course it's at night because we do all our work at night. Okay, so that's a little bit about that card. So, alright, so the first part we're gonna dive into, as per usual, is the Kabbalah of this tarot card. So in the Kabbalistic tradition, man, my camera's damn funky as fuck. Sorry, guys. It almost gets it and then it goes away. Alright, so in the Kabbalistic tradition, the major arcana, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this with the full, major arcana are the paths between the Sephiroth. So in the whole Tree of Life, there's 10 Sephiroth, which are represented by the 10 cards of each minor arcana. And then there are paths in between them to go up and down the Tree of Life. 22 paths between the different 10 Sephiroth that go up and down the Tree of Life. And the Magician is the path. Let me actually get a visual up here. This is from my Magician's Companion by Bill Whitcomb. Practical and encyclopedic guide to magical and religious symbolism. I love this book so much. I need to actually read through it all. So, but this is that's a bit complex. I know there's a simple one. Here we go. Alright, so Kabbalistic Tree of Life here. Each of these 10 Sephiroth, these little ball areas are the 10 Sephiroth, and then these are the paths in between. There is some thought on another Sephiroth right in here, but I'm not going to go into it since I don't know enough about it. I've just heard of it. So, the Magician, and this is the card we're going to use for the Kabbalah. This one's from the Gilded Tarot. I just like this one. It's adorable. I don't know where to set it up. I don't have anything to set it up with. So anyway, the Magician is this path right here between the Sephiroth of Kether, which is the crown, the root of air. Kether means crown, it's the root of air, and Bina, which means understanding and is the root of water. So this path here is, it's called Beth, which is the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's path 12. Its number correspondence, or its number value, sorry, is 2. English letter is B. Its image is the house, and then its concept is Mercury. So it's path 12, which is interesting. So basically, the paths between the Tree of Life actually start at 11. So that would make this the second path, path 12. So it's between Kether and Bina. And Beth as the path as letter is it's what's considered a double letter. So basically it has both a hard and a soft pronunciation. I don't know what they are. I'm just calling it Beth. I'm going to assume that maybe the hard... Well, maybe it has to do with the fact that it starts with a hard sound and ends with a soft sound. That might be it. I don't know Hebrew, so anybody out there who does, preferably person who grew up with it, if you want to inform me, I'll take it. As to which one it is, either that or I'll eventually find it. Beth represents it's also, basically it's got a hard and soft pronunciation, and it has paired attributes. So that's why it's called a double letter. So for Beth, represents both wisdom and folly. Okay, seriously, camera. I am very upset with it. I need a new camera, guys. Support me on Patreon. Random shameless plug. Plug that later. Represents both wisdom and folly. Its concept in the compass, its compass point is above. Is above. So with the 6 compass points, you know, you have north, east, west, south. and then below and above. So Beth, as the letter Beth, is the above compass point. So that's the Hebrew letter. Interesting enough, the path 12, so it's the second path, but it's the number 12, which is a 1 and a 2. So in numerology, 1 is the self, 2 is duality, and then you add them together, it makes 3, which is, I know this, I totally know this. That's not it. That's definitely not it. There it is. Gateway to the conscious mind into rational understanding. Connection and medical. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. 3 is... I forget what 3 is off the top of my head. And that's not what I was... I think it's the mind number. It's the first mind and the first stable number. So, like, we'll dive into 3 next month, because we'll have both the 3 of Wands and the Empress to talk about now. High Priestess. No, that'll be 2. Empress will be the month after. Okay, we'll talk about 3 next month. We'll dive into that more. But, it's the triangle, so it's the first, so, but in Pythagorean numerology, you could say the number 12 incorporates both the self, the mind, the spirit, and the body. Because you have 1, which is the self, which you could think of as the spirit. You know what? I don't even know where I'm going with that. I'm going to retract that and just walk my way back, because I'm not a numerology expert. But, okay, where was I? And it says path 12, which is an interesting combination of 1, 2, and 3, which are the first 3 numbers in journal. It's between Kether and Binah. So Kether is the crown, the root of air. So air, mind, understanding, consciousness, all that. And Binah, which is understanding, which is the root of water. So for most of us magical practitioners, air represents the mind, water represents the emotions or the heart or whatnot. So it's the connection between the mind and heart, which is a very interesting, which will come into play later. So yeah, that's our Kabbalah, because that's as far as I can get with it, until I know more Kabbalah. And then we come, of course, to our Kabbalistic angel, who is Nitaya, and a very interesting spelling of his name. Don't know if it'll come up forwards or backwards on there. So Nitaya means the generous god. He is the 25th angel of the Kabbalah. He's one of the dominions. His psalm, for those who do psalmic magic, is Psalm 9:2. And then, he gives wisdom, discovers the truth of hidden mysteries, and governs occult sciences. So, the little blurb on here is, spiritual wisdom and magic helps one gain wisdom and discover hidden secrets. So that's kind of his realm, is that, basically. Wisdom, understanding. It's like if you're wanting to just kind of delve into the occult, the hidden secrets and whatnot, or even just what we call occults, and gain understanding and learn from them and know what they mean, probably want to call him Nitaya. Those born under him will receive revelations and dreams from him. So if you're born under him, pay attention to your dreams. I'm pausing a lot, sorry. My brain doesn't seem to want to activate, and I even have coffee. That threw off my camera. Apologies. So he is the sole guardian for those born from 8 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. The moral guardian of those born on the January 26th, April 13th. Oh, hey, my little sister. Ugh. May 24th, September 4th, November 15th. He is the physical guardian of those born July. I think that was actually supposed to be July, not June. It was July, wasn't it? I wrote 6, but I'm pretty sure it was July. Yep, July 18th through 22nd. I totally know what month, what numbers, which month is. Totally. So yeah, Nitaya is the one you want to call on for anything to do with occult sciences, which goes really well with the magician. Honestly, the guy who created these cards, I'm pretty sure he was assigning tarot to angels. So he started with the angels, and then which tarot cards fits with these angels. So Nitaya works really well with the magician because it's occult wisdom, understanding, actually searching for things, spiritual wisdom and magic for the most part. So yeah, really good one with that. And now for... I really don't like my camera today. I don't know what's doing this. I don't like it. It's irritating me. Because nothing seems to be helping. Let's try that. Alright, so... moving on. I'm sorry, I'm going to complain about my camera a lot today, probably. Moving on, we have the alchemy of a card, and I decided on my cat magic card for this. From my mystical cats deck, because it's a kitty! And he's working with all 4 elements in the air. Of course, he's in a little alchemy room. It was perfect. That's just epic. Honestly, I love this card. So, he's got a feather. He's got a feather, me, a little ball of fire, a fish, and I believe that's lavender? No, lilac. That's lilac. All in a little swirl of energy, and he's concentrating very hard. And he's got all the tools of his craft around him, a little candle flame, a crystal ball. Kind of an interesting looking chalice. I'd almost say that's a chamber pot. I don't know. Or a spittoon. I think that might actually be a spittoon. That's hilarious. I never noticed that before. And of course, the little pentacle disc. And then back here up in the wall, I don't think you can see it. It's kind of like Da Vinci's, what do you call it? His man that's got the 4 arms and the 4 legs. Except for it's a cat inside of a pentagram. Okay, it's not Da Vinci's thing. It's like you know how they put man as the pentagram, with the arms corresponding to 2 points, legs corresponding to points in the head. It's kind of like that, except for it's a cat. It's adorable. So for alchemy, in alchemy, the magician represents the accomplished alchemist, the creator of the philosopher's stone, what any alchemist aspires to become, basically. Someone who is whole and total, and who knows all his stuff, who knows all their stuff, basically. And then, of course, I'm going to start doing the Fool's Journey with the 22 cards. I feel like a magician right now, having to wave my wand or something to get the camera to work right. I'm going to start doing this Fool's Journey. So, in the Fool's Journey, we started with the Fool, who is basically the hero of our journey. He's us. So in the Fool's Journey, the magician is the first other that he comes to. The magician represents the self-awareness, awareness of power, of spirit, the aggressive side of self. Not so much, I'm gonna fight you, I'm gonna fight everybody. More like I'm gonna go out and get stuff. I'm ready to stand my ground. I can stand my ground. I can go do stuff. I'm refusing to say the word that everybody knows. I know everybody is thinking. I'm refusing to say it. Damn it. Not that word. He's the aggressive, the go-getter, the extroverted side, the person that's like that side of us that sees what we want and goes for it. Not that isn't passive. It's not the passive side of us. It's not the passive receptive. It's the opposite of that. It's the active, passive, active, receptive, giving. I think it'd be giving. I know there's a different one. There's got to be a different word for it. So basically, the active giving side of ourselves, the one that goes out, does the thing, and then gives to others. It's the confident part of ourselves and the outgoer. So this is where the Fool starts building up who they are. Is the magician comes first. It's the spirit. One of my tarot friends describes it as this is our spirit. Was it? Yeah, spirit. This is our spirit. This is the active part of ourselves that goes out and does stuff, and this is the first part of who we are. It's when we're a little baby, little baby. That's not how we. Okay, little baby. There we go. It's when you're the youngest little baby. Anybody who's a parent or who's ever dealt with kids kind of knows what I'm talking about. It's like they're a kid and they're an infant only knows I want food, I'm messy, change me, I want to sleep, everybody shut up, be quiet, I need to be the loudest. It's that part of ourself is who the magician is in the Fool's Journey of Self. That's how one of my friends described it. It's that very first part of ourselves before we start the animal part, instinctive part, which makes this one all the more interesting. Once my camera stops being a pain. There we go. It's the more primal side of ourselves. So there's that. You know, I'm missing half of that. I forget where I put it. Anyway. So that's who the magician is in the Fool's Journey. The first person that we really meet. Or the first part. Not the first person we meet. It's the first part of ourselves that we meet. That is not just the beginning. It's the part that's actually doing something. So, alright, moving on into our numerology. I decided to use my Dragon Oracle for this, the Magus. Once it decides to stop being a pain. Waha. Wah. There we go. So it's the little dragon. He's on a chalice with a pentagram. I'm holding a book open this way. I've only got one hand. There we go. And then, of course, he's holding the Thame. Now, interestingly here, in this one, you don't see an element of fire actually represented. That's because the dragon is the element of fire. So we've got the chalice for the water, which is made up of tree, earth with the pentacles. There's our earth. He's holding a Thame for air. And then he is the fire, which adds a little more interest into this card. The magician, is the fire, that passion, that power, the will, what have you, that actual spirit, the activity, catalyst. That's what it is. So, for the numerology, the magician is a number 1. So if we remember back to our Ace of Wands, which, I mean, we'll come around to the 1 again. It shows up, it's going to show up three more times after this, because we're going to talk about all the aces when they come up. So 1 represents ego, self, the absolute, the divine expression, divine expression in a microcosm as part of the macrocosm, or the macrocosm in microcosm type deal. 1 is also the key to communication skills and verbal expression. It's part of the basic self, which I'm going to go ahead and read about the basic self. This is from my complete book of numerology, Discovering the Inner Self by David A. Phillips, PhD. So the primary level of human expression is through the body, the initial cry of a newborn baby, the adult's yell for help, the last gasping word of the dying. They all emanate from and through basic self. It is at this level that child attains practical familiarity with its environment. Expression of the 5 physical senses, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, constitute the primary functions of basic self, together with talking, laughing, crying, and all other physical activities. Basic self-motivation is largely reactive. Once we've grown old enough to master the physical activities in our environment, it is the body in self-defense. It is instinctive behavior as distinct from the intuitive behavior of high self. Insecurity, sensation-seeking, the desire for control of situations or of other people, or just blatant exhibitionism are the basic expressions of basic self. Yeah. Let us not forget that basic self is vital to balanced expression while in the physical body. In fact, it is the body in action when total integration with the other 2 selves is present. Otherwise, the body is in reaction. As we learn to control basic self, it becomes our faithful physical servant. Ego is then motivated by compassion and wisdom. Our physical lives become organized, and we become more patient with ourselves and others. Our lives become less sacrificial, so we become more philosophic. We evolve from the victim to the victor. Basic self in its fullness is the positive connection of the 3 numbers of the physical plane, 1, 4, and 7. So 1 is the first number of the basic self, which is the physical, the reactive, the primal. Again, we come back to primal. So that's that one. That's numerology. Now we're going to start delving into the astrology, and I've split it up into 2 because, as I mentioned in my last 2 videos ago, in the 2 of Wands, I'm going based off of 2 different astrology things, and I was going off just the 1 card, but I've got 2 different books, and the way the deck does it is different from one of the astrology books, which is the astrology book I'm going through. So I split it into 2, so the first part will be the celestial astrology, the deck, and then the second part will be my tarot and astrology book, which honestly I've seen get a lot more hype. So in celestial astrology, the magician, in the celestial tarot and in astrology in general, so the tarot and astrology will just be a little add-on to this in this one's case, because the major arcana tend to flow pretty much the same in all fields. So the magician is Mercury. If it will show up, it will show. There we go. Mercury is the magician. So in celestial tarot, it's not so much just the planet, but also the god. Let's see if this will stop dying. It doesn't want to stop dying, it's battery powered. So Mercury is an air. And Mercury's element is air. He's the ruler of the signs of Gemini and traditionally Virgo, though a lot of astrologers put the ruler of Virgo as Chiron, who's a comet. He's a comet. Between Uranus, no, between Saturn and Neptune. Which is the whole thing. In the Celestial Tarot, I wrote like all of it down, but I think I'm just gonna read out this thing because it's I pretty much started writing down everything that was on this, so which left me with less space for other stuff. So, youthful Mercury is the magician, ready to guide us through the labyrinthine path ahead. Mercury is the surrogate of Uranus, initiating the fool into the game of life by endowing him with the skills necessary to outwit his opponents. When the magician is drawn, consciousness of goals, as well as the will, ingenuity, and intellect needed to pursue them, is implied. In myth, Mercury is aware of this from the beginning. As the patron of youth, he reminds us that we are filled with possibilities and the energy to pursue them. The card signals a new phase filled with abundant... Okay, seriously. It's distracting me. Sorry. The card signals a new phase filled with abundant spirit and momentum. A creative process is underfoot. The magician suggests an epiphany of the god who is ready to guide us across the threshold of change. So what it's talking about of Mercury is aware of this from the beginning. Most of us know our Greek myth, so but I'll reiterate it anyway. Basically, one of the early myths, not one of the early myths, one of the myths of Mercury is when he was first born. While he was still in the cradle, his mother, Thetis, I believe it was. I might be wrong on that account. I think I am. She was sleeping. He was in his cradle. He crawled out. And basically while she was sleeping, he created the first lyre. Yeah, lyre. I was thinking lute. Lute is the long guitar-like one. The lyre is the small harp type deal with only a few strings on it. So he created the first one of those out of a turtle shell. And then he stole his brother Apollo's cow herd, and he confused them by driving them to walk backwards, and himself going backwards so nobody could see where the heck they actually went. But honestly, it doesn't really make sense to me, because if you're driving them backwards, yeah, the footprints might all be coming in, but it's like it's the only way they could have gone out, unless it was him driving them back over the way they came, but in a different direction. It doesn't make sense to me. It would be easy to figure out. But Apollo couldn't figure it out. Couldn't find his cows. And then Mercury, or Hermes actually in the Greek myth, ran back to his cradle after he's hidden the cows and fell asleep. Apollo, however, kind of figured out very quickly that it was him, tracked him down, pulled him out, and he's like, "Where the heck are my cows?" And Hermes is like, "But I'm just a wee little babe. I couldn't have done it." And Apollo is like, not falling for it. But luckily Hermes, trickster god who was like, "I want to keep your cows, but I'll give you this new instrument I've created." And he soothed him first by playing on the lyre, and Apollo, because he's also the god of music, was all kinds of impressed and like just really liked the music. So that was when Hermes was like, "I'll give this to you, and it can be yours if I can keep the cows." And Apollo's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Give me." So that's mildly hilarious. So that's a little bit of what Hermes is like. And that's who Mercury is. So Mercury is the representation of the magician. Now, for the second part of this astrology was my tarot and astrology book, which is... I'm so sick of this camera being this stupid. So, it's pretty much the same thing. Mercury comes to life in the form of a magician, the master of space, time, and cosmic energy. He's proof that our perception of the world changes the world, and that the mind is truly more powerful than matter. The magician himself is a channel for transformation and change. He conducts cosmic energy through his body, and he uses that power to manifest his own reality. In most depictions of Card, he holds one arm above his head like a lightning rod. His stance is a reminder of the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below. That's the same principle that is often used to explain why astrology and tarot are such effective tools. They both tap into powers greater than ourselves and use the world of ideas to help us understand the world of matter. In other words, a magician shows us the outer world of cause and effect and the inner world of personal experience aren't so far apart. We are each a microcosm of the macrocosmic universe. In Rome, the archetypal magician was known as Mercury. In Greece, he was called Hermes. He was depicted wearing winged boots and a winged helmet, and he was the god of speed, communication, salesmen, orators, tricksters, and thieves. Today, he still serves as an emissary between the realm of ideas and the world of physical existence. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, so it has the shortest orbit, 88 days. The planet's speed and agility mark it as the quick-thinking, versatile ruler of short trips, neighborhood errands, everyday commerce, and workday commutes. In astrology, Mercury rules messages and communications. It represents logic, reason, wit, writing, and speech. It describes early schooling and primary education, as well as our childhood peers, neighbors, siblings, and cousins from whom we learn much of our communication methods and style. Mercury is the multitasker. It rules two signs, Gemini, which is associated with the Lover's card, and Virgo, which is associated with the Hermit. Mercury also rules the 3rd house of communication, the 6th house of work and service to others. Mercury rules our biological message system, too. It regulates the brain, the central nervous system, and the sense organs. A magician, like Mercury, corresponds to the element of air. So, yeah, basically. Now the last little part of this. Oh, there's the other half of that. Okay, I found my missing cards. They're under my book. Or my notebook. Whatever. Let's see. I don't know why this doesn't like me. Alright, I screwed with it. Sorry about that. Okay, so the last part we're going to talk about is what I didn't talk about in the full, because, well, I did kind of, but I didn't bring the cards out. The mythos of the magician that comes up in my Spirit of Halloween deck, the Warlock. So, the Warlock has an interesting tradition. So, first and foremost, the word Warlock. The current definition of Warlock, and the one that's been a definition for a few hundred years, honestly, just means a male practitioner of witchcraft or a male witch. Where it comes into conflict, especially in the modern witchcraft pagan world and all that, witchcraft and pagan worlds, no, mostly just witchcraft, modern witchcraft world, is the fact that it is from the Old English world. I'm probably going to screw this pronunciation up. Werloga, which means either oathbreaker or deceiver, which traitor. It was given special application to the devil circa about 1000 CE, and early modern Scots came to... Basically, it's in early modern Scotland that it started being used as a term for a male witch, as opposed to just a witch. Now, the reasoning for this, for the most part, is because for most of the early Christian era, witches were seen as, or not even the early Christian era, most of the, most of the dominant thought process for a lot of our history, honestly, especially European history and Western world history, is anyone who's a witch was basically worshiping the devil. We all know that. And the reason they use the term warlock for male witch because it meant oathbreaker or traitor or deceiver. Werloga means vows wer means vows. Loga is deceiver. It's basically someone who breaks their vows, their oaths. And, well, if you were consorting with the devil, then obviously you broke your Christian vows, your Christian oaths, your baptisms, whatever. So that's where it makes sense. It's someone who broke their Christian vows by deciding to consort with the devil and practice witchcraft. There is apparently, according to Wikipedia, which is where I got most of this information, they called it a derivation. There's a thought that it might actually be also derived from an Old Norse word for caller of spirits. I did not even try to write it down because I do not want to even try to pronounce it because it's got a letter in there that I don't know how to pronounce it. It's been suggested, but I'm actually going to read for this. The reason why they tend to... The reason why they tend to think that it's not likely is that it comes from the Old Norse word. It's considered implausible due to the extreme rarity of the Norse word, and because forms without the hard K, which are consistent with Old English etymology trader, are attested earlier than forms with a K. So basically, the one with the hard K means caller of spirits, but it's less often used even in Old Norse, so it's like they're like, that's probably not a thing. Now in modern witchcraft, warlock still kind of has those negative connotations for a lot of people, is they don't like it. Probably because a lot of our popular culture uses warlock as some sort of evil magical practitioner, like in, hell, I don't know, most games, as an evil practitioner. One person I was reading there, Stop Calling Me a Warlock, Declaration of a Male Witch by the Gypsy Thread. And the reason he doesn't want to be called a warlock is because he considers himself a very white, light witchcraft practitioner, which I have problems with that in general, and warlock should only be used for those of a dark, left-handed path type deal, which... Yeah, okay, first off, I got problems with this is all white light, and this is all black dark magic. First off, that's extremely racialized, first and foremost. I don't use those terms. Secondly, I mean, it's your right to not want to be called a warlock. I'll give them that. Okay? Not everybody wants to be called a warlock. It's just kind of got, even in our modern language, it's still kind of got those negative connotations of somebody who's just evil. I mean, I don't want to be called a warlock. I mean, there's that. It's just not my preference. I'm a witch. But saying that it should only be reserved for those who practice magic you don't agree with and you think of as evil, left-handed path and right-handed path, it's like, I won't go into that. It's like, just because it should, you shouldn't think that it should be reserved only for someone who's just evil. I mean, he does go that you should only call yourself what you want to call. So, I mean, I won't say that he wrote it all. I disagree with everything he said. It's just, don't say it should only be ascribed to a specific sect of people working something you don't agree with. Because that's just kind of rude. And, you know, they're not most people who practice on the, I guess, the gray area. Okay, so breaking down black and white magic, high magic, low magic, white, light magic, dark magic, all that shit. What it comes down to, in a very basic sense, is everything that's considered white, light, high magic. That's ceremonial magic. It's literally just ceremonial magic. It's anything that is very ritualistic, includes a lot of debate, philosophy, ritualistic debate, philosophy. It's when you think that ceremonial magic, it's stuff that has to do with you're combining Kabbalah, you're combining astrology, you're combining whatever you're doing, this huge working to just do something grandiose, basically. It's like, it's very soul-centered. It's very in your own head, your energy working. You're planning to do something big. You're moving. I mean, you can still do basic witchcraft with it, of where it's like, I'm gonna do this. It's even if you're just doing combining a little bit of both, and like, I need money, so I'm going to set up this tarot card with these stones, with these plants. I'm going to use this incense. I'm going to call this circle and use these quarters with these specific. I'm going to do a whole freaking thing. Which I'm sure most of you are thinking, that's Wicca. Yes. Gardner based a lot of Wicca off of Hermetic orders, which was ceremonial high magic. Ceremonial magic. That's all high light white magic is. Whatever you want to call it. It's ceremonial magic. That's basically what it is. I mean, heck, I practice ceremonial magic. Now, on the opposite side of that, low, dark, black magic, whatever the hell. That's, shit. Somebody's cast the evil eye on me. Let me carry this little pocket thing of, or, ooh, I need some money, so I'm gonna stick a bay leaf in my wallet. Or, crud, I need to call up some good luck, good fortune. I'm gonna go down to a local witch and just be like, hey, I need something that'll have me winning through the slots on Vegas. And they're like, here, burn this candle and carry this little sachet filled with herbs in it. You good. Burn this candle. Burn the candle right before you go. Say it and just pray to whatever God, spirit, deity, divine, whatever. That's your low magic. It's your name I prefer for it is your practical magic. Your conjure magic is part of that, which is, as a conjure magic is your hoodoo, your Appalachian granny magic, even your voodoo, Vodun. Actually, that's a religion, but it includes a lot of practical magic for it. Your brujeria, santeria. It's the practical. It's the, I'm not doing this whole huge fancy ritual calling quarters and whatnot. I'm setting up my space, burning a candle, saying a prayer. I'm done and done. I'm good and done. Whatever. Done and done. That's your practical magic. So the whole, and then of course now with the left hand, right hand path, that kind of falls, both in those kind of fall more in just ceremonial magic, and they're different aspects of it. I can't remember off the top of my head. Left hand practice is thought of as to be working with stuff that is darker. It's where you don't have this, all is peace and love and light, and everything must harm you none. So Wicca would be considered your right hand path type religion of ceremonial magic, where it's, you have to consider everything, and you have to make absolutely sure that you're not going to be hurting anyone as little as possible. I mean, which is practically impossible, because, I mean, you're burning a candle, you're hurting the candle. Okay, that might be a bit of an extreme example, but you get my point. Something's gonna get hurt in magic. It's like, I really need this job. If it's for the best, it's in my best interests, and it doesn't cause harm to anyone. Well, it might be in your best interest to get that job, but if you don't want to cause harm to anyone, and you getting that job is going to cause harm to someone else who, you know, might not be the best fit for that job, but that's their last-ditch attempt to get that job, and if they don't get that job, they might go in a downward spiral, they might get kicked out of the house or whatnot. Well, that'd be harming someone. So it might be in your best interest to get that job so you don't end up harmed because you're stuck in this old crappy job that's, like, seriously draining on your mental and physical health or something. So the magic's got to sit there and go, wait, so you don't want me to harm anyone, but if you get this job, it harms this person. If you don't get this job and this person gets it, which would be great for them, it still harms you. What do I do? That kind of gray area type deal. White light right-handed path stuff, as far as I know, doesn't like to deal in those scenarios as much as possible. Which, that one comes down to a lot of personal ethics. Which, I mean, most things do. A left-handed path, that's your right. Right is over here, left is over here. Yes. Hey, thanks. Left-handed path would be something of, yeah, it's kind of a morally gray area, so let me think. If I don't get this job, this person gets this job so they don't spiral into homelessness and stuff, and homelessness, drugs, whatever. But if I don't get this job, I end up stuck at this job where I'm spiraling into like major, massive depressive things. So it's like, that comes down to your moral ethics. So from my standpoint, I'd be like, okay, so either get me this job because I'm kind of concerned more with me than this other person, because, I mean, self first. I mean, and most of us aren't going to know about this other person anyway. It's like, get me this job if it's in my best interest. If it's not in everybody's best interest, get me another job that works really well. So, I mean, that might still fall on right-handed path, but I don't even know. I don't know my own ethics. Shit. Left-handed, but Luciferianism, that's kind of a loose left-handed path. Left-handed path is seen as, that's what it was, okay, seen as taking care very much of yourself first, primary, everything else second. Right-handed path is everything else before me. It's everything else then me. Left-handed is me, then everything else. But they both still tend to fall very much in the ceremonial area, whereas practical magic is just, I need money, so get me money, kind of a deal. So it's, you can't call something you don't agree with to be black magic, because left-handed path and right-handed path both tend to fall in your ceremonial magic. Yes, they can both use aspects of practical magic. I mean, everything can. You're left-handed, right-handed, your ceremonial, and your practical. They're all like kind of a four-square quadrant, and it's like two different halves. It's a Venn diagram, not a Venn diagram. I don't even know how to draw it. So that's where I find issue with his this particular writer's whole thing of warlock should be reserved for anything on the left-handed path, low magic, black magic, dark, whatever. I'm like, no, that's racially insensitive, because even as I'm sitting here explaining it, practical magic, your conjure, your hoodoo, your basic witchcraft, everyday witchcraft type deal, it's like, when I first started describing that, what comes up first? Probably hoodoo, which is, especially for those of us here in America, because hoodoo is an American style thing. Who practices hoodoo the most often? Come on, y'all know it. Black people. So, why do we call it black magic? And what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear black magic? You think New Orleans voodoo. I mean, hell, the first image that pops into my head is Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog. Disney's The Princess and the Frog. Come on, seriously, people. If that ain't a bad association, I don't know what is. Which is why I prefer practical magic. And of course, you get your white light magic. And if you've got an image of Glinda the Good Fairy in your head, I'm so sorry. So did I. It's people in white robes doing the large, elaborate displays. It's like ceremonial magic, people. It's, like I said, it's a circle. This half, okay, one half of it on this side, this way, is ceremonial magic. This half is ceremonial magic. This half is practical magic. And then we take the circle, we cut it half the other way. This side is left-handed. Left-handed magic, which is your kind of your morally gray, your self first. You do yourself first, then in changing yourself, you change the world type deal. This side is your right-handed, which is your, yes, I need to work on myself, but I also need to do it in such a way that I'm bringing the world along with me. I'm doing what is best for the world as well as myself. That's my understanding of it anyway. So, I have no fingerprint on there. My phone is being okay. Okay. Now, another small thing about Warlock that I have seen, which I honestly thought was really interesting, was on Patheos Pagan channel. Patheos' blog is a blogging website. It's Patheos. I love their pagan channel. And this was done by Modern Witch Storm, who is Storm Fairy Wolf. And he wrote this piece called The Rise of the Warlock. And it basically a whole long thing explaining a little bit of why Warlock has negative connotations, and then he goes into this long thing of why it should be a reclaimed term. And then, let me... so basically, I'm going to read through these couple of paragraphs. So, when I have spoken about my choice to identify as a warlock, it has been met with interest from some, but most often with suspicion and even ridicule by those who identify as pagan. Beside the outdated assertion that it means oath-breaker, and I can only assume that those who perpetuate this definition are simply ignorant of the fallacy of such claim. Okay, I'd have to go back and read where he gets that from. I have been told that the word is silly at best and oppressive to women at worst, the explanation being that to use a gender-specific term will only divide us. This coming from those who often use the gender-exclusive term priestess without batting an eyelash. I feel that to adopt such a term better enables us as men to delve into what it means to be a man practicing witchcraft, to seek the sacred masculine in relation to the sacred feminine. It can help teach us how to be better men so that we can be better to women, to ourselves, and to the world. When I call myself a warlock, I am not seeking to make myself better than women. I am reaching deep inside and embracing all of my parts. I'm exploring and redefining masculinity in a way that includes the spiritual, the magical, and the sexual. That's a very interesting take on it that I actually like. And because even though I'm non-binary, I identify much more strongly with masculinity than with femininity. I say this wearing makeup and purple lipstick. But anyway. So it's very hard when I want to explore Wicca and witchcraft, well, witchcraft in general, but I'm starting from kind of a Wicca foundation, to find anything to do with the sacred masculine. It's like, when I want to do my own practices, I end up falling into very much a feminine bent of everything, and it makes it difficult for me as a more masked person to explore that masculine part of myself that's not toxic, to explore what it means to be masculinized, or even without gender, in the context of something that is so strongly feminized. Even though Wicca, even though it's like, say specifically, there are foundations of modern paganism, Wicca, and well, that's one of the foundations, was so very strongly, was started by a man. It's so incredibly feminized. That's why I tend to go explore a lot more on ceremonial magic, because, especially hermetic pathways, because even though it's very toxic, even though it was a very toxic culture that needs some redefining, it has been redefined actually a lot over the past century or so, especially recently. It's a lot more, it speaks to my masculinity a lot better. Now, granted, well, actually, it tends to speak more to my, the parts of me that are agender, actually. I really don't see a lot of the Hermetic ceremonial magic as having much of a gender in any of it, even with the polarizing type deal things. It's like, that speaks very much to my agender part more than anything else. So when I want to explore my masculinity, I want to do it in the context of witchcraft, but with most witchcraft, I end up with a lot of just feminine things. So it's a very odd thing. So I don't think I'll be calling myself a warlock anytime soon, but it's an interesting take. So anyway, that was a long rabbit trail about just one card, but you know, I'm known for those. So a little bit of, I'm gonna end this out with the traditional meanings, or the traditional associations with the Magician card, and we'll probably use them vice versa, and explore all this. So the traditional meaning has to do with will and craft as some of the keywords. In control of the elements, so basically our magician here, as soon as it stops blaring, he's in control of the elements. Okay, excuse me. I've had too much coffee and not enough food. Mochi totally counts as breakfast. He's in control of all the elements, he's calling all the shots, he uses his own energies to make things happen, reminds us that we are the magic action that represents action, growth and energy, confidence, especially self-confidence, potential, self-awareness, self-love, all that. This magician, the magician in every aspect, they are the master of themselves, of their microcosmic world around them that influences the macrocosm. It's like, he's got all this stuff, and a little bit of a representation of so much control is he's got this candle burning at both ends, which is also seen in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. He's got all his tools out here on the table, but he's not reaching for them because he is that pillar of magic and infinity. He is the one causing everything to bloom, to just move around him. He's that potential, that energy and whatnot. This side of this card is it forcing outward. It's like, this is all this magic and power and energy going outward. You're moving your world around you. This is going to be a very long video. I just saw the time. So he's moving all that energy out around. This side of this card is going out. That side is all this power and energy needs to be focused inward. It's here, he's at dusk instead of night. He's just learning stuff. He's got the Tree of Life, which is most often used to represent humans, on the back of his robe. So this is his power and he needs to do. He's got a, is that a lily? He's got lilies all in these bushes, but also one growing directly behind him. And lilies represent, totally noticed, I totally should have looked this up. Lilies most commonly mean devotion or purity. The lilies are associated with, because of the Greek myth of Hera and Zeus, lilies are associated with rebirth and motherhood. In China, lilies are used in weddings because they are tied to 100 years of love. They are also tied to good luck. So that kind of throws in the rebirth, power, will, purity, goddess of fertility, Madonna lily virgins. Pink, stargazer lilies, which this definitely is, symbolize prosperity and abundance. So basically, all this power comes from him being prosperous and abundant in himself. In yourself. All your power, all this outward force is only possible if you are full in yourself and your own power. Now, inverted or reversed card meanings. So, upright, you've got, he's power, he's confidence, he's assured, he's go-getter, he's gonna do it all. His typical masculine male. Okay, that was the card I was the word I was avoiding using with some of these is masculine. He is inverted. It's that bravado that's he's kind of a jerk, is how my book that I get this from, Kitchen Table Tarot, described it. I love her work. He's a bit of a jerk. He's power and swagger gone bad. It's that, yeah, man, I can totally do it, and that if you think of that, just that sort of dude bro type stereotypical asshole dude bro that just makes you sick to your stomach and it gives you a bad taste in your mouth, that's who he is in reverse. It's all that power and confidence kind of, well, it's not who he is, that's kind of just that sort of energy, that bravado, confidence that just doesn't quite work. It's just like, yeah, okay, it's like, I got this, and then it just, it totally worked. No, it wasn't supposed to fizzle out. Another way she described it, interestingly enough, because this is the magician doesn't so much represent a person as power. It's all that power and confidence inverted is just gonna kind of fizzle out. It's hypocrisy, a moral guardian busted for immorality. So her examples were a politician, or no, I forget what her examples were exactly, but so I'm kind of ad-lib this. Basically, you know, that politician who's all for, well, let's use something kind of recent, and that's probably gonna hit a few, make people a little uncomfortable. That politician that's all about save the children, we love children, put these pedophiles in jail, and come to find out, he's also a major pedophile. That specific politician, not necessarily he. It's like, he's all, that politician, they're all for putting the pedos away and save the children, but they run a sex ring, or they benefit from one, or they help keep one. That sort of deal was one of, kind of similar to that, was one of her examples. So it's very interesting. I don't know if I quite see it that way specifically, moral wise, but it's definitely, to me, it's like all this power, confidence, swagger, and bravado. It's just a shell. Inverted, it's just a shell. There's no real drive behind it. He actually tries to do anything, it's just gonna kind of flop. On that side, however, it's kind of the same deal. It's like, he's got no confidence in himself. He's just he's got so much potential, but he's like, no, it won't work. I've been this person. There's no confidence, no self-love, no assurance. It's just like, I can't really do that. I don't think I actually have that power. You know, it's almost kind of sad because there's all this power, but it's like this person inverted is just kind of like, I can't really do it. It's like, so this way it'd be kind of a shell. This way it's like literally they have no confidence in themselves. They've got false confidence, they've got no confidence. And this way it's confidence in themselves. This side it is they're projecting that outwards and actually doing shit, getting shit done. So it's kind of meeting. Goodness. Okay, so yeah, this episode's gonna be a little bit long because probably on my fault because I kept fussing with the lights and the camera, all that. So I'm gonna close this out with El Mago. The magician from my Lafol deck. Which, she's gorgeous. If you can see her. No, there we go. And this is kind of that darker side. I do like this one. It's like she's doing all the things I was just talking about. She's putting all that power out there, but she's quiet about it. Magician doesn't necessarily always need to be boom. Sometimes it's just kind of this simple, quiet, and powerful. I'm gonna put that out there. And yeah, always an interesting way for it. So we're gonna end with her. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Sorry it's a little back and forth on the screen. It worked better last Friday night. I would have, or last week when I did it on a Friday night instead of a Saturday morning. I would have done the same thing, but I had a headache last night. I'm bordering on migraine, so I was way too nauseous and tired to actually do anything. So I was gonna do it earlier this morning, and yeah, stuff. So I'm bad at times. But yeah, other than that, anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Yeah, I don't know where I was going after that. Yeah, share it with your friends. Give me likes. I really like likes. And you know what? I enjoy comments too. Just tell me what you thought. If you have any questions, go ahead. If you got any questions, go ahead and email me at bagsandomens, all one long word, at gmail.com. Find me on Facebook at Bags and Omens with an ampersand, not the full word and. On Facebook, where I post these videos when they come out, and I also post any bags I'm making, which I'm gonna get back on that soon. I'm still not taking any commissions right now though. I want to get some of my own projects with bags done. Through Facebook, you can also, on my Bags and Omens site, you can also message me for tarot reads, whether they be live or you email me with your question, your payment, or even no question. I actually kind of prefer no questions. And then I'll message you or email you back with the full reading. You're going to probably have to message me for price because I don't have prices yet. I don't actually have prices up on there. If you want an in-person read, if you're in town at Sierra Vista, you can find me at Strega, the Witch's Workshop, on Sundays. Just search it on Google. She's awesome. It's an epic shop. You'll enjoy being there, even if you decide like not to actually get a read. If you've never been in there, go check it out. If you're anywhere nearby, like seriously, it's an awesome shop. Find her. You can find her. Search her through Google. Find her on Facebook, and she does have a website. I think it's stragashop.com. I think I might be wrong. I'll link it below once I find it. Yeah, and if you want to just kind of get a taste for how I read tarot, you can also find Intuitive Tarot Read on Facebook. It's one of my tarot reader friends' sites. I do the daily card draw Monday through Friday. I forgot this last Friday, though, because yesterday. Well, I didn't quite forget. I ran out of time and didn't plan things well. That happens. Friday was a weird-ass day. Yeah, I pull the daily cards Monday through Friday, so you can kind of see how I do card reads there if you're interested in getting a reading from me. Yeah, and then if you really like me a lot, or you really hate my camera, like a lot, you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/bagsandomens. And you can support me through there. I have 4 different tiers. First one's just a $3, you like me or you hate my camera and you want me to get a new one, like I said. And then the other 3 come with perks, with reading perks, and I'm trying to think and decide on probably hopefully adding some perks on there, because I don't like it just being tarot, but let's see. We'll see. I'll come up with something. If you got any ideas, you can always I might do early access to the videos, maybe like Saturday when I record them instead of just having to wait till Sunday. If you got any ideas, comment them below, or comment on the Patreon. Any comments through there, any people to find me. But okay, that's everything. Thank you all for sitting here listening to me ramble for an hour and 15 minutes. And my funky ass camera being stupid today. Yeah, so hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all have a good rest of your day wherever you're at. Alright, bye bye.